God with eyes and can see. And by the way, Job is questioning God. After God had listened to all of his questions, God said, all right, son of man, curl up your loins, I'm coming. I'm coming to answer your questions. But first, I have a few questions for you, Job. Where were you when I stretched forth the heavens, Job? Where were you, Job, when I divided the waters from dry land? And Job stood there with his hand on his mouth. He couldn't utter a word to God. That's creator to creation. You gotta understand who I am. I am God all by myself. Who put the breath in your body? Don't tell me what to do. I am the God of them. I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. He wants us to understand who he is. I with me, child, in essence, he points out, I am God and you are a human being. That's who you are. Are you with me, child of God? That's why I can't understand when some people say, I really am trying to understand this still, that God understands. Are you serious? What is the understanding? His ways are not our ways. They leave how they please and then they holler, he understands. Might I announce to you, he doesn't understand it at all. He provides the means to get you out of it, but he doesn't understand the reason to remain in it. Are you with me, child of God? Yeah. What he announces to us is, I wear celestial and you wear fleshly robe. That's what you have, a dirt suit. Don't you talk about me not showing up on time. I love it when the songwriter said, 4 days late, but he's still on time. I feel his presence. And he establishes that I could go through walls. Yes, he can. I could go to the past and I could come to the present and I could move to the future. Oh, what a Savior divine. So it seems to me that God could go back in my past and straighten up. How many of you have seen the movie Time Travel? Oh yeah, there was this one guy who had this beautiful rose that he discovered. And for some reason, she got shot when some guy was trying to rob them. And that guy spent a lifetime trying to go back and undo what happened. But how many think that's impossible? But we have a Savior who could go back and fix it for us. I will be child of God. And he could deal with some things right now in my life that could straighten my tomorrow. Are you with me, child of God? I don't have to worry about tomorrow. If he takes care of the lily in the valley, how much more my precious life? Are you with me, child of God? He lets us understand that you are but flesh, but I am an eternal God. You've got to understand who I am. You are finite in your scope, but I am infinite in my scope and in my reasoning. You've got to understand that I know all things. I am omniscient. I know all things. While before you even ask, I know of what you ask. Even before you ask, and even before you ask, I already set in motion devotion the answer. Are you with me, child of God? He establishes who he is and from what standpoint he stands. Are you with me, child of God? God expects the human mind to recognize who he is. Are you with me, child of God? He wants us to understand that he is God, for he is holy, and what he cries is, be ye holy as I am holy. Are you with me, child of God? He announces that his intellect is superior to that of the human species. Are you with me, child of God? Don't try to reason it out. Don't try to second guess me. I know where I stand. Hope and believe in me. I will bring it to pass in your life. Are you with me, child of God? Oftentimes we try to wonder where God is. That's what we try to wonder. Have you ever been in a situation in your life where you're trying to figure out where is he? I can't feel him. I don't understand what's going on, and I am confused. And you're trying to understand where is he, and you're crying your eye out because you don't understand the pain that you feel. Trying to wonder, where is daddy? I'm scared to death. I feel somebody's pain. I feel somebody's pain here. Daddy, where are you? I'm backed up against the wall, and I'm trying to understand what's going on in my surrounding. Have you ever been there where you're backed up and you don't understand what is happening? And you're crying to God. Have you ever prayed in time, fasted in time, and he's not here yet? Have you ever been there and everything seems like it's about to break, and you don't know when the breakthrough is gonna come? I feel somebody's pain, but I'll tell you where he is. He's at the finish line. Are you with me, child of God? He's at the finish line, and he's sitting waiting for you to come through, and he's cheering you on. Keep on walking, my sister. Keep on walking, my brother. I got you in the palms of my hand. I got you in my palm. Keep on walking. Keep on moving. Don't stop as long as you've got breath. Keep on. I feel praise rising. Keep on walking. Keep on moving. He's waiting for you. He's there holding. He's holding your hands. That's why you can't feel him, because he's holding you. His relationship with us is not physical, it's spiritual. That is why when I'm hurting and I'm bruised, I feel it here. That's why I got a wife. She puts her arms around me and she says in my ear, I'm there with you. Have you ever been there? Because my relationship with her is physical. But when I'm hurting, Daddy won't put his arms around me and say, hold on in the sun. I won't experience his physical touch. But what he will do, he'll put a word in my spirit. I feel praise rising. He'll put a word in me. That's why when I woke up this morning, there was one thing on my mind. Is there a word? You gotta understand, he is superior. Are you with me, You gotta understand God from His standpoint. He wants us to understand who He is. Look at somebody and tell him, He is my daddy. I feel it here. Look at someone and tell them, He is my mountain mover. Ooh, I feel it. Look at someone and tell them, He is my rock. Ooh, yes, He is. He is my rock. That's why the Apostle Paul declares. That's what the Apostle Paul declared. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against ungodliness and unrighteousness of men. Are you with me? Who hold the truth in unrighteousness. You gotta understand, because man didn't retain God in his knowledge, the wrath of God is revealed against man, simply because he holds the truth of God in unrighteousness. God's wrath is kindled against man because man has not acknowledged God's supremacy in his knowledge. That's why science tends to prove and argue that there is no God. I feel a praise rising. Somebody's blessing is on its way. What God is saying is, because you try to put me out of your knowledge, and you're trying to prove that I doesn't exist, you're trying to prove that I don't exist, for that my anger is kindled against you. Man should hold the truth of God in unrighteousness. Are you with me, child of God? They're trying to prove the theory of the Big Bang. The Big Bang theory, they think that everything just got into being, and everything just came into being. And they try to prove that everything evolves. So they lied to us, and what they said to us is we came from monkeys. What happened was they said that monkey evolved, and there we came. But the question I have for them is, why haven't we evolved yet? You're trying to prove something, but the theory, there is a flaw in the theory. Why haven't we evolved yet into some kind of strange beings? They're trying to prove otherwise, and they're trying to prove how the eye come into being. And science could prove that they could make an eye, but they're trying to downplay the genius that God is. Are you with me, child of God? For example, after man discovered the universe and its splendor, he had the meticulous gall and audacity to publicly declare that the genius behind this brilliance doesn't exist. Can you imagine man? After he discovered the genius of this universe, and he sees how everything is orchestrated, man, he had the gall to stand up and publicly declare that there is no God. I mean, come on. Are you such a fool that you cannot understand what's going on? God has personally revealed to man his inventions, his eternal power, and the Godhead. That's why creation is God's number one preacher. Nobody has to hear a preacher to know that there is a shade somewhere out there. When I look at the birds and how they commune, have any one of you ever wake early in the morning and you could just hear all the birds chirping? Have you ever listened how beautiful it sounds? All the different birds all at once giving a unique sound. How beautiful it is early in the morning. And to see how everything is orchestrated. Wonder if you look at Animal Planet and see how everything is organized, and you're looking at the brilliance of God's creation, and to tell there is no God. Some something is wrong with you, there has to be an inner conviction that there is a supreme being. Everything goes wrong and wrong in this universe, and nothing clashes. What a wonder he is. And what they said was lately, they conclude that there is a genius somewhere out there, but we can't prove him. Oh, good God Almighty. Yet man refused to acknowledge his existence and the genius that he is. Man has become ungrateful. Man has crowned himself as wise and prudent. Are you with me, child of God? One time I was listening to BBC World. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And some scientists came. They were having some interview. And this guy came and he was trying to define science and talking about the universe. And the guy, he seemed to define nothingness. And he goes wrong and wrong. He's using some kind of terminologies and some really big words. And at the end of it, I thought he was really going somewhere. At the end of it, he said, all of this means nothing. I said, these guys are really fools. Only a fool will say that there is no God. As a result, God gave man a mind that is not able to think of itself out of a paper bag. God said, all right, you feel that you know everything. You feel that you are a genius and you have all knowledge. Because you refuse to understand who I am and to understand I am creator, I'm going to give you a mind that is able to think itself out of a paper bag. I'm going to make your mind so narrow. I will be child, but consequently, they dishonor their own bodies between themselves. I will be child of God. God gave them up to vile affections. Woman with woman, man with man, even man with beast, and woman with beast. What God said is, if you refuse to acknowledge who I am God. Either you do it my way or hit the highway. I'm going to allow some vile affections to crawl upon the inside of you. And Paul said, woman with woman and man with man. Are you with me, child of God? And what God is saying is, if you refuse to understand and acknowledge who I am, you are going to turn into a beast. I'm going to allow you to desire your own kind. Are you with me, child of God? And the church has to understand. The church has to understand its role in the times and the seasons that we are in. What God is saying is, either you hit the highway or you abide to my way. Are you with me, child of God? And you gotta understand, God is careful in his presentation. In his what he's saying and revealing to us. You submit to what I am saying or hit the highway. That's why one writer concludes, he that is filthy remain filthy still. He that is holy. You gotta understand God from his standpoint, and he wants human beings to understand that he is the God of heaven. And Paul goes on to say, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do things which are not convenient. I will be child of God. You gotta understand America's standpoint. Americans think that they could pull out God from the equation, but they have no idea what's coming for them. I with me, child of God, because God's judgment is about to sit on this planet. But you gotta understand the role of the church. The church shouldn't be bothered by this decision. The church has to move on. I with me, child of God. The church has to be the church to walk in uprightness and holiness. Are you with me, child of God? The world will never hate, will never love us. The world will continue to hate us, but we're going to love on Jesus a little more. Look at somebody and tell them you're going to be on fire. You can't afford to be lukewarm. You have to be on fire. He continues to say, although they know God's righteousness decree, that those who do such things deserve death. They didn't only continue in this thing, the very thing, but they also approve in those who practice them. Are you with me, child of God? It seems like people take pleasure in people who does evil. You don't do it, but you take pleasure in those who do it. Are you with me, child of God? God said, you also come under his judgment. God made it clear to man that he is in charge of man's lifespan. Are you with me, child of God? He is in charge of how long we live. That's why he said, when we get up, we shouldn't say we are going to do X, Y, and Z. What we should say is, if God permits, I will get up and do X, Y, or Z. We are recognizing the creator to the creation. He handles time. We are but dust. It is Job who concludes, man that is born of a woman is of a few days and is filled with trouble. You gotta understand that God will keep us in a glass case. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but God will deliver him from them all. I would be a child of God. What he wants us to understand is we gotta know who he is. He's the creator of everything. What he's saying is, acknowledge me in all your ways, and I will direct your path. Put me first in all that you do, and I will work it out for you. It has been taken forever, but I'm working it out for you. It seems like you have been waiting long enough. It seems like I feel like preaching now. It seems like you have been praying all your life, waiting for the moving of the water. It seems like it's not coming to pass, but I rose to tell you, God is on the throne, and he is working it out for you. He is behind the scenes, moving some things around for you. Don't you give up. Understand who he is. He's God all by himself. He don't need anyone to make him God. He's God all by himself. And what he's saying to you and I is, acknowledge who he is, and he will direct. You gotta understand, you don't have to wait till the battle is over to give him the glory. What he's saying is, give me the glory right now. I don't see that, but I'm getting excited. I don't know where the next time is coming from, but I'm excited. Look at your neighbor. I'm saying, neighbor, hold fast to his promise. I feel a praise rising. I don't know who I'm preaching to, but I rose to tell you, hold fast to his promise. It may lie, it may delay, but hold on to God's unchanging hand. He's coming by my way. I with me, child of God. I'm waiting. You gotta know how to wait the devil up. God, where do I fit? I fit here. I'll tell you where I fit. I'm standing with the shield of the Spirit, and I'm waiting the devil out. I'm standing here confessing the word. Are you with me, child of God? I'm standing with a positive disposition. One thing that would confuse the enemy when I'm waiting him up, because the Bible said, when the enemy, the lion may roar, but be sure. And I'm standing here, I'm standing still with my praise on. He expects me to panic. He expects me to lose my mind. But I'm standing praising the Lord. Though he slay me, yet. Though he slay me, yet I'm backed up. Though he slay me, yet I'm feeling pain through the process. Though he slay me, I'm not going back. I'm carrying the cross on my shoulder every step of the way. Though he slay me, I'm moving to the next step. I'm waiting on. I'm waiting. Jesus is on the way. It was Lazarus. They called him in time. I feel the same. They called him in time. And he stayed where he was 2 more days. But when he got there, somebody said it's too late. I feel it in here. It's too late. He's dead 4 days. Come on, Jesus. He's dead 4 days. He must have been rotten by now. He's rotten by now. You better go back wherever you came from. But what they didn't realize, he is the resurrection. I rose to tell you, it's his way. When you hold on his way, he will bless you. Could I get at least 15 people to give God the praise? You don't see the blessing yet, but give him the praise. Give him the praise. That is due to his name. He will. He will show up. I said he will show up. Doesn't matter how this little thing has to come. He will show up. In no time. Notice that Isaiah announces that his ways are different from our ways, as the heavens are to earth. God is saying that he is superior to that of human. And he announces to us that it's either my way of doing things, or the highway. What he's saying is, in essence, what he's saying is, have some respect for who I am. I could change everything around with us.